Hello, welcome back to Pardon My Vlog. So, what am I talking about today? I thought I'd tell you about well, I've got it listed down as stories from education. I wrote that down as I came up with a list for the start of the month of 12 vlog ideas. I don't remember what I meant with that one. I assume I mean sort of stories from when I was in school and such. Or, the history of my education. You might find that interesting. I don't know. I think it kind of I think it sort of says a lot about me. Maybe. I don't know. I've been a bit unusual with my education career. So, I've been to, one primary school, 3 secondary schools, 2 colleges, and 2 universities. So I moved around a fair bit. Still don't have a degree either, or any A-levels. I move around and don't get good grades. So, when I was in school, I didn't go a lot. I was the kind of person people like to punch. Because, let's face it, I have a punchable face. You know you want to. I know I want to. So, I bounced around a lot. But then I went to college. I went to art college first, and then I went to sixth form, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a revelation to me. I went from going, fucking school, I hate it, to, oh wow, this is kind of fun. Teachers weren't any better. Just people were a lot nicer. It was weird. In school, I really focused on science, and I can't decide to this day if it was kind of an act of rebellion. I was really pushed by my family, well, my father's side of the family, to go into science. My grandfather is an engineer, sort of an early computer engineer. He's a lovely, fascinating man. But I was kind of pushed to go that way. I excelled at science as a kid. I still think I have a fair grasp of it. But then sort of in a way rebelled and decided to go to art college. Because basically at the time I was really depressed. I'm regularly quite depressed. I suffer from chronic major depressive disorder. Have done all my life. Hence why I didn't go to school a lot. So, and drawing was the one thing that really chilled me out. I got it into my head that I wanted to be a cartoonist. I wanted to be a sequential artist, if you want to get fancy. And that's what I spent most of my time doing at home, was sort of drawing these really crap comics, doing my best to learn how to ink and draw. And I did my art GCSE, did pretty well. Weirdly, my dad really encouraged me to do well in the art GCSE. He really helped me out with that. But then was like, art college, oh god, you're wasting your life. So, I went to art college, met some lovely people, who actually I kind of miss. There aren't many people I miss from school. Well, I had there's one or two who's like, I'd like to hang out with them again. But it's like, I'm missing these people every day type people I miss. Actually, the college as a whole was quite crap, but it was sort of nice. It was a really nice, relaxed atmosphere, and I sort of socialised with people, and really got to sort of be in an environment where I didn't feel scared most of the time. I did in school a lot, because I got beaten up quite a bit. And, I kind of got treated shittily. There was the problem kid in school, and I was basically left to deal with him at the expense of my education. He was acting up. It was like Keir sought him out. Keir calmed him down. He would sort of like do shit where he'd try to stab me with scissors, compasses, that kind of shit. Frequently drawing blood, actually, which always irritated me. Just irritating sort of spots of blood, not gashes or anything. But I was just sort of left to deal with him, which pissed me off, to be honest. But it was in that school where I met Dan, so we didn't really start being really good friends till after that. Weird. Neither me or Dan can remember why we started hanging out. We were in the sort of same social spheres in school, but never really that close. And then, once school was over, when secondary school was over, we started hanging out all the time. and neither of us can remember why or how it started. So anyway, I was in art college, so doing loads of drawing. I even started drawing comics for the college paper, because they started a comic section. I submitted. I was like, yeah, I do comics. That was the obvious thing to do. They were little, badly done but kind of cute comics. There was a regular thing among our year, I don't know if other years did it, of kind of art bombing, where we just put up our own art in places, in weird places, of just kind of like leaving funny stuff around. So I did all these series of little cartoon bunnies reenacting movie scenes. Because one thing that was really good about this art college is it had a really good movie collection that you could take out. So I'd take out like a stack of movies over the weekend or overnight and just watch them and bring them back. But somewhere in my first year, I got told, Keir, you need to stop drawing. You are terrible at it. You are not improving. Put the pencil down and find something else to waste your time with. So I was like, okay, you know best. You're a professional artist, supposedly a professional teacher. I'll find something else. So I was really into Kevin Smith movies, particularly Clerks. And one of his big things is, if I can make a movie, anyone can. I was like, fine, I'll do that. They had a decent film stuff there, and I took out cameras, learnt what I needed to do, mainly by myself, made loads of short movies, and then got in trouble for it. Basically, because I didn't live in the town where the college was, I lived about half an hour away, so it cost me actually quite a bit to go to this college every day. It cost £10, and I didn't work. Still don't, because I'm lazy. So I was going there every day in the first year, most days. Yeah, sometimes depression. Can't deal with it. And then it was like, okay, well, I don't know Hereford. That was the town. That was the city the college was in. I don't know it well enough to go around safely with this equipment. It was a rough town, a rough city. Frequent, it was a rough place. So I was like, well, okay, I'll film around my town. I know it better. I do a lot of. I've done a couple of photography courses around here. That was in first year. They did a sort of segment by segment do all this. I think it was actually after the photography thing they told me don't ever pick up a pencil again. So I think that's why I decided to film in Ludlow, because I had all these shots from around Ludlow, some quite nice pieces that I wish I still had. I think I might have some of them somewhere. I got rid of most of my old sketchbooks a couple of years ago because they were just embarrassing. So I learnt what to do film-wise, mini DV cameras. I really loved filming with them. It was really nice. Didn't make any. Must have made a dozen, maybe 24 short films, ranging from like a couple of minutes to half an hour in my second year. And then at the end of the course, they were like, yeah, you shouldn't do art, maybe try writing? Maybe? Whatever? And at that point I was just like, fuck you guys. Basically, the course wasn't run well. What would happen is, start a project, which is normally across a month. It would be, here's your brief, do it. Okay, here's the thing. Study of XYZ. Okay, there was sort of like a list of procedures we had to do to go through, like come up with a storyboard, spiderweb, whatever, of ideas, work them out, do research, produce, and then evaluate. Standard stuff. Here's the problem, we never got any interaction with the tutors on how to do these things. At least I didn't. Now I was in a relatively large group of people, but most friends I've ever had in my life. It's great. That was maybe like 7 of us, 7 to 9 maybe, fluctuated, and laughed and talked and had fun. But we did the work most of the time. We were still kids, and I think once or twice in that month I'd see a tutor about this work, and they'd be going, okay, how are you going to do this? Well, I thought I'd do this. Okay. Do you have any other suggestions for me? No. Okay, how's it look? I'll tell you when they're finished. When the module's finished. Oh, okay. Then I'd get a scrawled sentence at the end saying, must do better, after I get a passing grade. You could not approach these people. It's like, hi, can you talk over? No, dealing with uni stuff, because they also had to cover university students, because the college was connected to Uni of Arts. So yeah, that's basically, we had to figure all this shit out by ourselves. At least I had to. I know some people got a lot of tutor support, mainly the fine arts people. There's like fine arts, digital photography, digital work, so photography and film, and even one or two. There was a couple of animation guys. Then there was like illustration, graphic design, that kind of stuff, and then I can't remember if textiles was a separate group. They were never around, as I recall. But then again, I've always found textiles teachers to be incredibly aggressive. Yeah, very territorial. I think they're scent mark. So yeah, I was like, right, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm going to be a filmmaker even if you say I can't. It was that kind of attitude. So I enrolled at the neighbouring sixth form and took some AS courses there. And did fairly well with them. I got 2 ASs. Had to drop 2 for medical reasons. That went crazy. And did well, and I had really good tutors, and they were like, "Yeah, you're a bright kid. You can do whatever you're smart enough to do whatever you want, but you really show really good stuff at this." It's like, wow, thank you. They still weren't great tutors. I mean, I still wasn't in a lot of the time. In fact, I missed nearly 4 or 5 months off. That wasn't a fun time for me. So, panicking at the end of summer, after this year in college, I was like, okay, I need to go to university. I haven't applied anywhere. Because the way the uni system works in England is there's a unified system called UCAS. You apply to various universities from there, and then it's all sort of handled like that. So it got to the end of it, I was like, I have nothing to do this next year. I'm terrified, because this would be the first time that would ever happen to me. I would not have anything to do in the next year. And I wasn't really that well. I've never been that well, but sort of coming off kind of rough year. So I was flailing around. I was like, okay, I need to find a university. Found one in London. It got to clearing. This is when basically universities are desperate to fill their last places. And so I found a bunch of unis around the country. 3 or 4, maybe 5. It was the very last one I found. It's like, if they don't have a place here, I'll done, figure something else out. So this is what I did. I phoned up one of the guys. I phoned up the university, talked to one of the tutors for 5 minutes, listed some directors I liked. Keir, Orzo, Guillermo del Toro. I listed a bunch of foreign filmmakers. He was like, okay, fine, you're on the course, whatever. And that was it, I was in. I was now in the University of West London. Hooray! So, moved out to London. Bit scary, to be honest. First time moving out, moving to this really quite shitty little bedsit. 1-bedroom flat. And, yeah, lived there for a year. Did the course for a year. I've never seen such apathy or anything else. As I described art college, this was worse. This was honestly worse. Met some interesting people though, and there was a gross period in my life, I guess. Horrible things though. Just awful place. It was the kind of university that basically lets anyone in and had a really strong, I don't want to sort of make this sound like it's bad, but it's just like, it was basically a student visa mill for people wanting to emigrate here. Like they had to turn up once a month for a lecture, and that was about it. So, like first lecture of the month, it was like crammed in this huge lecture hall, loads of people who you never saw till the next month, who never said anything, were just bored. And then there were like 10 people who would be there the rest of the month, who were actually interested in filmmaking. I think those people even got a pass on doing work. I never saw them hand anything in, but then again, I was kind of shit at handing things in anyway. Actually, I did hand everything in, and then of course, sorry, I was getting confused with Brighton. I did hand most things in. I handed something in the day I was moving out. That was scary. It was the last piece I was working on. It was an editing piece. So I was editing at the university the day I was moving back home. I was editing, I got it done, edited it in, ran to the tube. Now, I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'2". I was wearing a long trench coat and a wide brim hat. It's a comical sight. I don't run well. I'm fairly ungainly. I have long legs. I could apply to the Ministry of Silly Walks. So yeah, I moved back and crashed, basically. I couldn't go back. Spent a year recuperating. Then, due to sort of situation with friends, basically they were all moving away. It's like, okay, I'll move with you. Go to Brighton, whatever. And by this point, I just did not care for films at all. I did not watch a single film that year. In fact, I still don't watch many films. I used to be a guy who would watch 2 or 3 films a day, if not more, some days. I watched the entire Godfather trilogy in one sitting. Now I don't really watch films at all. That's kind of sad. I watched maybe 5 this year. I got really into reading and writing again, because I was like, I need to de-stress, I'll do something. As I've always written, since I was a little kid, I've always written, despite being hideously dyslexic and autistic and all manner of other fucked up. So I would write and read and do all kind of stuff. Basically, I remembered that last bit of advice from Mark, and I was like, you should maybe try writing, maybe? So I applied to do a literature course in writing, to be with my friends. That kind of crapped out. Some of my friends couldn't go, but I was living with friends in Brighton, and I should not have done that. The sad thing is, I loved the university there. Brighton was a brilliant uni. It had, this is going to sound weird, but for the first time in my life I had teachers. I had people who were enthusiastic about their subject, who gave a crap about how I was doing. They cared about how well I was doing on the course, my thoughts on the course, what I was reading, what I was interested in, would just strike up conversations about stuff. It's like, I remember I was asking for more material after one lecture, and because I mentioned that it reminded me weirdly of what I'd heard of medieval morality plays. We were discussing early modern theatre, and I was like, well, how did this evolve? Then there's is there still the use of stereotypes, and there's other big thing. And then she was like, the lecturer, I can't remember her name, I'm terrible with names, was just like, oh yeah, medieval morality plays, they're fascinating. We just sort of stood there talking for like 10 minutes on medieval morality plays. It was great. And I kind of felt like towards the end of the year I was making a bit of a nuisance with myself, because I didn't really make any friends on the course, but I just kind of talked to the tutors when I had a chance. Yeah, it was but then my health got really bad again. Really, really bad. And I had to drop out of that, and it's now been a year or so since Brighton, and I miss it, to be honest. I miss Brighton. I like the city and I like the course. I wish I could go back, but I can't. I'm not well enough, and I don't think I will be for a long time. Going forward, I have no real plans. It's sort of throwing around the idea of doing an OU course, Open University. That's a sort of long-term online or by mail university. It's kind of well, it's open to everyone. You don't need qualifications to do the OU. I've been thinking about doing that. Don't know. It's kind of stressful, and I don't do stress that well. So this has kind of been a rambling tale of my time in education. I think I imagined we was going to do funny stories, but this has kind of been a bit of a downer. But my time in education has. I hope you learned something. At least made you think. Arrivederci.